Lisa Saunders. Welcome to the Lisa Saunders Show. I'm really excited today. You are going to have an adventure with me as we learn what it's like to be a member of the Eastern Competitive Trail Ride Association. So I am just going to let the three members here introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Wanda Stazick. I'm the Vice President of Eastern Competitive Trail Ride Association, which was founded in the 1970s to encourage the growth and understanding of distance riding and driving. We have expanded. We go from Virginia to Maine.
That's amazing. Now, but each ride is not from Virginia to Maine.
No, I mean we have rides through
but they aren't long. We'll talk about that in a minute, how long they are. Go ahead.
I'm Megan Thompson. I've got about 1,400 competitive miles, and this is my son Burnie.
I'm Burnie Thompson, and I have about 1,000 competitive miles.
And that's when you are on an actual trail and people are marked. Well, you decide ahead of time how many miles you're going to ride, correct?
Well, really, we each ride has a specific set amount of miles.
And so you can choose, because you have rides in different locations, and they range from how many to how many miles?
Some of them are 25.
12 to 100 miles.
Yeah.
12 to 100.
Yeah.
I can't imagine doing 100. Even 12 sounds a little difficult. How long have you been riding?
I've been riding about 9 years. About that.
And
competitive trail riding 9 years, but riding horses in general, it's been more like 14,
Yeah.
13 or 14.
Okay, so you started him and his twin, right? You have a
Yes.
and they don't look alike,
No.
do they? Because when you
Thank
say
goodness.
so, they started together doing this.
Yes.
And how did you even decide to do this, and why did you decide to do this?
I had done some competitive trail locally, some local organizations, and I had enjoyed it. But our horses are hunt seat show horses.
They're what?
They started being hunt seat show horses for the show ring.
Oh, okay.
And so that was where we started. And I came from the University of Connecticut. My husband bought my horse as a wedding present.
Oh,
and
what an unusual
I
gift.
showed her.
Okay.
So that was my background. And so they learned how to show and jump and everything. And then at some point we realized that boys didn't really want to be doing that stuff. So we hit the trail.
And it's an exciting one. What I've been reading about it, you wrote something when you were 10 years old about your first ride. So what was it like? What were you expecting? I mean, because this isn't just jumping and showing a horse. Tell me about it, because people here that are watching this have no idea what this is. What is this?
It was a long time ago, my first ride, but I mean, I guess the first thing that really struck me as a young rider was the length and the endurance it took to ride that many miles.
Now, it's not just the endurance for the horse. Is it also your endurance?
Yeah.
Right. So what do you do? Because this is what I found interesting. It's not the first horse or mule or donkey that wins. It's the one who. What makes a horse a winner?
It's really the horse that is the least changed physically at the end of the ride.
And that's the pulse and respiration.
Pulse and respiration, and also any injuries sustained on the ride.
Right, like you don't want to see you'd get deducted for saddle sores.
Saddle sores, yep.
What else would you be deducted for?
Scratches on the legs resulting from interferences or rocks.
Okay, so like if you were thinking to yourself, gee, I'd better pick up my time. I think I'll take this really thorny looking path. You'd get points taken off.
You have to stay on a marked trail.
Oh, so the trail is marked, so you know exactly where you're supposed to be going.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if there is a rough spot, you got to know to slow down enough.
Okay, so that's where you have to be using your head.
Yeah.
Yeah, because my mother, who's a horseback rider for years, she doesn't do it anymore. She was very interested in your organization. She said, "Oh my goodness, a competition where they really care about the horse."
Yeah.
And I just thought these are valuable skills, I think, to really endurance, but also how to care for an animal. Like I was very interested in one of the articles I read how a woman felt so badly. It was pouring rain at the end. This isn't all just sunny riding through the country. This is, you know, it could decide to rain while you're on the trail. And you, and she really regretted not having a waterproof, I don't know, what would you have for, what would you?
Yeah, you could,
Waterproof
yeah,
sheet.
waterproof sheet to keep the horse cool. Yeah.
Warm.
Warm.
Or, well,
Yeah, and
depending
in her
on
case,
the
yeah,
temperature,
because that counted against her at the end of the race.
Or
Not race, but
your
you don't call it a
rump
race. But at the end of the ride. Okay.
Yep. And that's what the rump rug is for.
This is
Yeah.
okay. So go ahead and show us all the things that you would
So-
have. Now, do you have to have a rump rug, or you just rump rug, right?
Yeah.
Rump rug, yep.
Okay. Do you have to have one, or is it just
Nope.
a good idea to have it? So this is where all your thinking comes into play. Okay.
The only thing you're required is saddle, bridle, helmet.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and this, if it's cold out or you know it's going to be rainy, our horses are Morgans. They don't seem to really care unless
Your
it's
horse,
cold.
no, people don't have to have a Morgan to enter.
Nope.
But your horses
Yep.
happen to be Morgans. Okay.
Yep. And this attaches to the back of the saddle.
Okay.
And it rolls up, and then, see, this part here is water resistant. And it
Okay.
rolls up so that if
Oh,
you
it's
don't
warm.
need it,
Okay.
if you don't need it, it's just attached to the back of the saddle. But if you do need it, or like say you come to the end of the ride and you want to, you're going to stop moving and they're going to get cool, you spread it out over their rump, and it allows those nice muscles up on the top to stay warm. Or if you take a break. It's
So it
nice.
just sounds like you've really, well, you knew a lot about horses, but you really, the more you study and know, the better you do.
Yeah.
I would
Yes.
imagine.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
you could, and plus, that's why they recommend if you're just starting out. First of all, I read it was a good idea just to volunteer at an event to really
Yes.
find out what's going on. And I thought it was great that I read you don't necessarily have to enjoy touching horses. You can be a volunteer and just look at them from
true.
afar and
Yep.
still be volunteering to get an idea of what's involved.
Yeah.
And then when you start your first race, do you recommend doing the 12-mile or the
12-mile we instituted a couple years ago. It's called the CDR, and we bought their conditioning rides. So they're perfect for the beginning horse or an older person that doesn't feel like they can ride the full 25 miles. And you'll still get your extra miles, but you just do a pass-fail through judging instead of complete judging.
Okay. And what are the things that would make you fail? Like really fail, like not even get any kind of an award, like where you get disqualified or
Over your time coming in, you have 30 minutes after your time to be in. Once you're 30 minutes over, you're disqualified.
okay. Does
what-
everybody have the same time that
You
you need to be
You
in
start.
by?
They usually start out in 2-minute intervals from the beginning. Two horses, one horse every minute. Usually two horses go together, so it's 2-minute intervals.
Okay.
And then it's 20. It's in a 25-mile ride. Your maximum time is 4 hours and 40 minutes.
Now, how long is a ride? What's the longest ride you can do in one day before you need to sleep over? Because you're only allowed to.
So extra, I think 40 miles is the no. Is it 40? Yeah, 40 miles is the max that they'll do on one day.
On one day.
When we do our 100
And how
mile,
long would that take usually? Do you know?
Do you know the
eight,
don't have
eight
this-
hours. Oh, it's a little over 8 hours.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so a long day. I mean, a day.
It's 8:10 to
8:10 to
8:40.
8:40, I think.
Okay, and so you don't need to sleep over for that. I mean, unless you want to.
Well,
Well,
you probably would.
Well, usually our extra rides, they start at a base camp and they go out and they come back to base camp.
Okay.
So when we're doing a multi-day ride, you come back to base camp at the end of every day, and you do your vetting out at the end there.
And what does vetting out mean?
You come in and you have your pulse and your respiration taken, and you do your trot out to make sure your horse isn't lame, and they do a quick overall just to make sure everything else is okay.
And who's they? Who?
The judge, the vet judge, and the lay judge.
Okay, so you have two judges, and they have a certain number of points they give you.
You start out with 100, so when you start the ride, before you start the ride, you're vetted in by the same two judges in the same area as you will be at the end of the ride, and they do a complete physical, basically on your horses. They do saddle bumps, legs. They ask you to trot out in a pattern so that they'll know if you're lame or not, sound, or if
Like a
there's something.
pattern, like do you have to go around?
It's usually a straight line down and a full circle one way and then reverse and full circle the other way. So that you're all vetted in, and that's your whole score of 100. So then when you come back if you're doing a one-day ride, you come back 25, 30, or 40, you come back and you're fully vetted out the same way you were vetted out in the morning. And anything that's deteriorated from the morning, you lose points.
Now, how do the ride, like I thought it was funny when I was reading how you really want to make sure that every item you bring you've used before, even your underwear. Because if you buy brand new underwear and it rubs you the wrong way, so even the rider, now you don't have a vet checking you out, right? You're just
No. Sometimes maybe we should. Honestly.
Now, does anybody ever get so uncomfortable because of what they chose to wear that they just they decide, I can't finish this. I'm just, my shoes are killing me, my underwear's killing me.
It happens.
It happens.
I'm not warm enough, I'm not cool enough, that kind of thing.
And oddly enough, at least to me, I notice it's a lot of the more veteran riders that sometimes they're just, I don't want to do this. And I think an amateur rider will stick it out more. I don't know.
Right, because you're feeling maybe more competitive.
At least from what I've seen, yeah.
Now, you have them in rides from Virginia to Maine, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, do you have a special, I don't know, is Maine easier on you on the summer than Virginia, say?
Oh, no, Maine's got those black flies.
Okay, so that's kind of interesting that there are challenges no matter where you go. So, okay, so tell me some of the challenges. Like I said, I enjoyed your paper that you wrote when you were 10 years old. First of all, I loved it because your chapters were really short. I'm a writer, and I too many words, so I just love when somebody gives me something to read and it's short. Chapter 1, it's about 3 sentences. I loved it because you really broke it up based on your change of scenery. Now, I know your favorite thing that you did was have candy. Your mom said you could eat whatever you want because you need the energy. Now, why don't you show me that pack? Because I think that's a pretty exciting piece of. Did you bring this on your first day? Or?
I don't know if it was this pack, but I had something like it attached to my saddle.
Okay.
And Mom packed all this stuff. She packed the Snickers bars. And
wow. Now, why Snickers
chocolate.
in particular? Won't they melt in the sun, or you just like Snickers?
I like Snickers.
Okay.
They do
Usually
sometimes.
we pack granola bars, and we bring Snickers, and those we have for breakfast or early on when it's cooler.
Wow, yummy. Okay, what else is in here?
Coca-Cola and water.
Now you mentioned for caffeine now because you get tired and
it gives them energy.
And we were up
keeps them
really
going.
early to start out too.
like what time do you get up? If
get
you're
up-
already there, sleeping there. First of all, I'd like to talk about that too. I mean, you're sleeping there, right?
Yeah, usually.
Usually. What are you sleeping in?
Well, we sleep in the horse trailer. She sleeps in the cab of the truck, and I sleep in the back of the stock trailer.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's real comfortable, right?
Yeah, not so much.
Because I remember in your paper you wrote, okay, they showed us the porta potty, so I could get the whole picture right there. But this isn't luxury unless you want to be luxury. You can stay in some places have hotels nearby, right?
Some places do.
Or
If you have someone to watch your horse.
Or you have a horse trailer with living quarters.
That too, yeah.
Okay, but you consider your trailer living quarters because you put your sleeping bag back there.
Yeah.
Is that more comfortable in the cab? Is that why you get the cab?
Yeah, and I'm short, so I lay down the back seat and put a foam mattress on it.
Yeah.
But when we come to rides, it's like a clown car. I mean,
we've got stuff strapped in everywhere.
And he has to pack the back of the pickup truck exactly because it's like a puzzle in there.
Yeah.
And then when we go home, of course, we've eaten 2 bales, or the horses have eaten 2 bales of hay, so it's a little bit easier. But,
to
but
pack
going, he's like the expert packer.
Now, how many times a year or when is the season? From when to when?
First ride is January thaw, the beginning of January.
Are you
in
serious?
Vermont, in Woodstock, Vermont.
You're kidding me. I thought you'd tell me Virginia at least.
And it
Wow.
goes.
I've never done that one.
No, neither have I.
You guys are hardy.
And it goes through end of November.
Yeah. So you only have a month off.
Yeah, and really, if someone wanted a horse to ride in December, there's nothing stopping them.
Oh, really?
Oh, a lot of the riders go down to Florida. They'll truck down. It's not part of our group, but you know, there's rides in Florida.
Yeah.
There's rides all up and down the coast.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, it sounds like a movie. I mean, Hidalgo's already been done, but I thought, well, they have to be making some of this up. But now I realize, after listening to you guys and reading some articles, you have challenges. All right, there's black flies. What else has been a challenge where you're thinking, what have been challenges aside from black fly? Now, you're allowed to put, there's a lot of things you're not allowed to do to your horse, but you are allowed to put bug spray on them. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're not allowed to give them any secret potions. Occasionally there's a drug test, right? To make sure you're not giving them, you know, unfair advantage through drugs. So I just find that fascinating.
Yeah, the only thing you're allowed are electrolytes. We can now use Cosequin, joint supplement, and bug spray.
Okay, so horseflies, what else? What else are challenges?
Heat.
Yeah, the heat is
For
big one,
you
definitely.
or the horse or both?
both. Yeah.
Okay, now how does a horse get food and water along the way of this journey?
So
like
there's water, ride management will leave water along the way in troughs, or there's natural water. Many of our trail horses will drink out of a puddle.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And they graze along we'll stop and let them graze along the way on the trail. When we get to the hold point, which is usually halfway for that day's amount of mileage, we usually send to the hold truck some grain and treats for the horse in a bag.
Now, can you feed your horse Snickers?
Yep.
Well, you could, yeah.
So that's allowed.
Yeah, but yeah, well,
So if your horse likes Snickers.
well, as long as there's no performance-enhancing drugs in there,
Right.
it'll be fine.
And did you think this was a fun thing to do with your brother? And
Yeah.
obviously, because you've been doing it. You have 1,000 competitive miles.
Yeah, so, well, we're thinking for every competitive mile, there's 10 training miles about. So
At home,
yeah.
Yeah,
So it's a lot of miles.
it's a lot of
on
miles.
the horse, yeah.
Right.
Big commitment.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, because it just really, I liked reading it because people would ask, what's your favorite horse? And nobody ever wanted to say, well, this one right now is my favorite, because they didn't want the horse to feel that they weren't its favorite, because you really have to have a strong bond between the two of you.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the horse will listen to you. And what do you think you gained from this? Like I said, I'm not a horse person myself. However, when I read about a woman who went to, I forget, South America somewhere. She was blind, and she wanted to start schools for the blind, and the only way she could get to these places is to ride a horse, because even though she's blind, the horse isn't going to go off a cliff.
Oh, yeah.
And I just thought that was fascinating, that here's a situation that it really is beneficial. Now, what about if gas prices go up or something? Do you think, is it even feasible for somebody to ride a horse to work nowadays?
Well, Burnie could.
Well, yeah, I live a quarter mile away from my job at the feed store. So.
Oh, do you? So they would actually probably let you do that?
Maybe, yeah. But,
We don't have a hitching post, though.
but
So.
as the prices of fuel go up, the prices of feed go up.
Because
that's
it
how
costs
happens.
fuel to get the feed to where it needs to go.
Yeah. Yep.
That's interesting. Now, you could also maybe even be an extra in a movie. I mean, people that know horses could get these jobs that people don't think about, right? I mean, do you ever think about being an extra, like say in a Civil War movie, and you have to be on a horse doing things in a battle? Like,
I suppose so. Yeah. Well, if you've got the experience and you're looking for these types of jobs, you could definitely find something, I think.
because it's an interesting skill to have. Like, what do you enjoy about it other than getting the points? What?
It's really the adventure, just getting out there with people who share the same interest as you, friends and friendly competition. It's just a blast.
I thought so, because to me, I'm reading this, and every ride sounds like an adventure, because you never know what's around the corner.
Yeah.
And like you said, you have to decide, am I going to plug on, and how can I make my horse comfortable and glad that it.
We have a lot of really fun family times together.
Yeah.
And, last year I rode mostly with Burnie, and, his horse does things like lay down in a leech-infested pond.
Oh yeah.
Oh, real? Like it sees a pond and wants to lay down to cool off. or
Yeah,
something?
that's-
And then we find out there's a whole bunch of leeches after
Yeah.
he's been in it.
And then you have to sit there and on the
Well-
trail and lose time while
Yeah.
you're deleaching your horse.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
you know, we didn't have to de-leech, but we did have like a.
Yeah, there was a mass scramble to get out, and the leeches arrived just as we were getting out. So
Ugh.
but
It was-
still.
Right.
It
And
was
so would the
amusing,
horse
but-
ever just roll over with you, like not even care that it's on your back?
She did that twice, I think.
No, but she always lets you get away from her.
Yeah, well, yeah.
But you know, I'm saying Burnie, she's gonna lay down. Burnie, she's gonna lay down. Get her out of there.
But also, this is a very abnormal horse. I don't know many other horses that would do that.
True.
So.
See, I used to ride every summer. My grandparents had a farm, and I'm from the city, and they didn't like it that I was riding elevators. They wanted me to ride a horse and live the way they did, which is why I wrote a book called Ride a Horse, Not an Elevator. But even though I didn't become a great horsewoman, I find the whole culture fascinating. I mean, they were so proud of me when I rode that horse. Now, is this something you want to keep up the rest of your life?
Definitely, yeah. I haven't ridden much lately because I've been keeping busy with work, but it's a lifetime skill, and I definitely want to keep doing it.
Now, you wrote that essay when you were 10. Do you still write about it? Is this something that you could ever picture you writing about?
Maybe sometime in the future, yeah.
Because I could just picture it a great novel. There must be novels.
Yeah, there's some great novels. There's some written about competitive trail riding.
Where it's fun, like a true. Are there any books you know that we could recommend for somebody who wants to read, or just do a Google search?
Patty Brooks has written some great.
And
novels.
those are nonfiction about what it's like. 'Cause I've read her articles and they were fascinating.
Yeah, and she's got good stories and about horses and the people too.
Yeah, because I really enjoy reading, like I said, reading about what else you should have on the trail. What else do you have here? Just show me what else you have.
Oh, some of other of our.
Now, is this
equipment,
something everybody's required to have?
A helmet,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay.
Helmet.
Yes.
All right, so in case you get kicked in the head or.
Well, or you fall off mostly.
Yep.
Yeah.
And this is Wanda's, and it's really nicely ventilated.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a big consideration,
Yeah.
especially
And-
for a long ride.
And it's got an inside adjustment too, so that
Yeah.
you know.
And it's really light as well, compared to other, like show ring helmets. and
Okay,
such.
so you don't have to have particular. There's only how many? What are the three that you had?
Bridle, saddle, helmet.
Okay, those are the only three things you have to have.
Yes.
And I just read how important it was making sure your saddle's adjusted. Now you can get off and readjust or no.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
So you
you
can
can
keep,
just no forward movement.
Yes. You can't make
Okay.
any forward progress.
Progress.
and then what else do you have? You have what is that? A fly.
Oh, do you wanna
thing?
talk
No, you
about
can
your-
talk about it.
Okay.
Go for it.
Well, this is a sponge strap, and there's a natural sea sponge in here, which generally holds water better.
Oh, does
and then
it? Okay.
this attaches to the saddle, and then you can unsnap, and the snap is nice because it holds the sponge down into the water. Drop it down into the river or the stream
Oh, okay,
or
well,
whatever,
okay,
and
great.
the snap weights it down, gets it nice and wet for you. You pull it up and you sponge up their neck, and you know
And
you
this
can
is all
sponge
part
anywhere on
of
them.
making sure your horse
Yep,
is
it
in
cools
good
them down.
condition. And
Yep.
you're not, I read, allowed to heat it up the water
Nope.
or cool
Right.
it. It all
No.
has to be
Right.
Natural.
along
Yep.
the trail.
Or
Okay.
But you can influence it you can put it underneath in the shade of your trailer or in the sun, but it has to be.
But that's like a normal,
Yeah. A
natural.
normal,
It's, you're
yes.
really just the whole point is not artificially.
Yeah, you can't bring ice or a cooler or anything like that.
Right.
for
You
your
can't stand
horse.
your horse in the water after you finish.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
And what was the little fly swatter
This is a
thing?
fly whisk.
Or fly whisk.
In Connecticut, we use it a lot because it's deer fly season, and you have to ride at least 7.5 miles an hour to stay ahead of the first
Yes.
one.
Uh-huh.
You just kind of flick it around as you're riding. Most of us, as we use to ride, we get this routine that you're riding.
So that's why I see in movies this. That's
Yes.
what they're doing. They're not like hitting the horse go
No.
faster. They're getting the flies off.
Yes.
Okay.
They'll, once your horse, I have my horses loves it. He just, the other day he was getting his shoes on and the flies were bothering him. He's standing there waiting for his feet to be whisked off.
they like that service. Now, so what would somebody do? They're watching this show. They realize, I don't even know how to really ride a horse. They say they don't have a horse, but they're starting to get really interested. Like, wow, this sounds like an adventure, not just riding around in a pen. How would you get started?
So if you've never ridden, I would say you start to take lessons.
Okay.
You look at our ector.org website, and there is how to get started on there.
There is, okay. So, and then you would take lessons, and then do you need to own your own horse, or can you borrow a friend's horse?
You can ride a friend's horse as long as
You
they
can.
agree to it, and there's sign-offs, liability sign-offs on all of our entry forms and all for that.
Okay, so you take riding lessons, you realize, I really do love this, and if you can afford a horse, you buy one, and you pay to stable them somewhere. That's what
Right,
it's called.
and you have to have transportation to get to and from the rides, or you have to figure that out. In the beginning, it's a good, half a year to get a horse pretty much in good condition to
Okay,
start.
it takes half a
Scratch,
year from even a horse that's already used to people and trained to be able
the
to.
conditioning for the way that they have to move on the trail and what they have to encounter, because they're going over a trail and they're not in a ring where the footing is nice and smooth and whatever. They've got to learn to know where to put their feet, know, if they step on a rock, how to, balance themselves so they don't twist it, break it. There's a lot, and sometimes a lot of the ring horses just have to get accustomed to being in the woods with the branches coming in your face and the deer popping up on one side.
Do horses know when they see branches? They say, "Well, good, the branch isn't going to hit me, but I don't care if it hits my rider." I mean,
yeah.
Do horses think about you, or
They'll sometimes. Well, it depends.
It depends on the horse. Some horses will say, I used to have one horse that when we were going under anything low, he would kind of scooch down and he would be really nice. Had another horse that was like, nope, we're going.
okay?
I'm aiming for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it just depends.
But
Every horse is different.
Somebody as young as how old? What's the youngest you can be to do this? Was it 8?
Is it 10?
Or
Is it 8?
Well, anyway, you can be pretty young.
It's pretty
Yeah.
young.
basically,
Yeah.
because you started at 10.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's either 8 or 10, I think.
And you felt confident enough that he's ready to do this, because he's been. Well, whether you did or not.
We had an adventure. That's for sure.
Well, like I said, I loved your story. I really loved reading about this. Well, we have a little less than 2 minutes, and I want to know, what do you wish our audience would know?
That everyone can do this with a little time and a little effort, and it's great to be in the woods and just riding, like Burnie said, with people that we enjoy to be with. It's fun.
Yeah.
Do you have a lot of campfire story? Or no, you're not allowed to have campfire.
Most
some
places aren't.
Right, but
Usually
you can
aren't
still
allowed.
sit around at night, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
laugh
Sit around.
about,
Oh, yeah.
and
We
talk
tell all our
about
stories,
the
all our
adventures
horror
that
adventures.
you've had. And
Sometimes we'll light a couple of candles and
tell stories, and well, that's just wonderful. I'm really excited about it. I wish you well. You have a ride coming up in Maine or Massachusetts? Like I said, you have every state. What are all the states you do?
Maine, Vermont.
New Hampshire.
There is one in New
There's
Hampshire.
one in New Hampshire.
Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, New York,
New Jersey.
New Jersey, Maryland, we have one in Pennsylvania.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes,
Yep.
we do. We have
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania, and
Virginia.
Virginia.
Okay, and people just travel to, that's very exciting. Well, thank you so much for coming. I
Thank you.
appreciate it. You just
Thank
may
you.
get me on a horse. I don't know. I got 6 months to train, right?
There you go.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on the Lisa Saunders Show. And it sounds like Patty Brooks will have a lot of information on that if you want to Google her name. And just Google your organization, and there's also the website that you can go to and learn a lot, and go from there to learn how you can get started to do this. Thank you so much. See you next week.